Finally, we got some One Piece again. It's been so long. It feels like it's been a month. All right, let's take a. Let me catch up really quick on the supers that started before the stream started. Give me 1 second. Oh, Timothy McQueen, always a pleasure to see. Your comment before the stream starts. I appreciate it, man. Um, Fun fact. I think Timothy McQueen, right? It was you. I'm pretty sure Timothy McQueen for the Pirate King tier podcast. Let me double check that it was you. I'm pretty sure it's you. For the Pirate King tier podcast, the most recent one, he asked me that podcast. You submit questions, you get answers to those questions. I go fairly in depth. He asked me for that, what superpower would you have if you could have any superpower? Right? I'm pretty sure he asked that. Let me see. Let's see. I'm pretty sure he was the one who asked that. And I answered um fuck. What did I answer? Where is this? Okay, yeah. He asked me what superpower I would have. And I answered fuck. Now it's taking forever. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. I think he asked or somebody asked, what superpower I would have. And I said immortality. And then Timothy McQueen commented that, that's a shitty superpower. He was very critical of the superpower that I picked. So, I don't know. I feel like immortality is a great superpower in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel like it's just, why would you pick any other superpower? You know? Because you don't die, which is the main thing that humans try to avoid. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a phenomenal superpower. Anyway, let's see what question he has today. So I just wanted to throw that question to you guys. Why? what the overall feel on that is. Immortality, that's a pretty good superpower, right? No death? I think that's pretty phenomenal. Right? Most people, we're trying, not just, obviously you're living life and doing fun things and exciting things and taking risks, etc., right? But the number one thing that most people don't want to happen is death. So you would kind of just pick that as your number one superpower if you got to pick one, right? Anyway, Timothy McQueen asked, I'm busy, so I can't ask about page counts. All right. And thank you for the 20, by the way. I appreciate it. This has now overtaken 1095 as my favorite Egghead chapter. It shows the Marxist spirit of humanity rebelling against the bourgeoisie in the most dramatic way so far. What a culmination. It was a phenomenal, the spread is just so beautiful. The spread is so beautiful. The idea, so a former slave, a slave all the way back then, rising up to give a well-deserved, obviously Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon, that's huge, right? But Kuma himself was the slave, right? He himself was the slave, and despite everything that they took from him, they took his body, his mind, everything, right? His mind, his body, they almost took his life. They took his family, right? They took Bonney from him. But they could not take his spirit at the end of the day. And I think that goes 100% to what you're saying here. Thank you for the 20, man. I appreciate it. Oh, wait. Let me catch these memberships real quick before we get any further into it so I don't fall behind. Beat Gamer 99. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 2 months. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. Let's get the stream likes up to 100. It's a new chapter, everybody. We gotta express our excitement somehow. I say stream likes, in my opinion. Morj, I think Luffy left the area because he heard the ancient giant call out using the voice of all things and wants to help Luffy. That's an interesting possibility, but would Luffy leave the area for that when all this shit's going down? I know that Oda's setting up for some dramatic Luffy re-entrance here for sure. But I'm curious, would Luffy leave when all of his friends are there in danger? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think they're in danger because he trusts his crewmates so much. Let's see. But that's a good idea. Snap, thanks for being I do think that the ancient giant and Luffy communicating in some way seems very, very likely before the end of all this. Snap, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months. Oh, somebody else said time control. Flare Furno says time control. Time control would probably be the best. Now that I think about it, time control would be the best. Stop time, rewind time, go back in time. Maybe go to the future just to check out what things are like. Go back if it's weird. Maybe change the future so it doesn't end up in that weird future that you experienced. That's a really good one. I'm going to change it to that one. That's a really good one. I feel like immortality could be built into time control somehow, right? You could probably figure out a way to workshop that. Maybe go so far into the future that they have immortality, pick up some of that, and then you're good to go. Snap says, I'm making pizza. Oh, come on. You can't just make a pizza. You have to, the only way to make pizza is to order it from pizza places, right? At least that's what I do. Can you set a timer for 15 minutes? No. Thanks. Also, you need to read Kingdom. I've been asking for 16 months. I will read Kingdom one day. That is for sure. I think in the next to read category I have is Fire Punch. I want to read Fire Punch. It'll go by real quick. I think I've been saying that for a while too. And then Kingdom. Those are the two. So just hold on. It'll get there at some point. Time Control would be great. I think Time Control is the best one. I agree with that. Aether, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 10 months, man. You now have the ability to give your dream girl her lifelong wish. She'll love you forever, but your ballsack and nose switch places. Do you do it? No. What the fuck? That is a great question. Not really. Alright, Keenan, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months, man. Late Lazy Lorge, a lot of alliteration here. Late Lazy Lorge, Lucy looms into the lounge. I don't think I was that late today, man, though. I think I like 15, maybe 20 minutes max. I think I was pretty on time today, relatively speaking, to other days. Dick so small I piss on my balls, thanks for the 10. Because of how much Morgans loves Luffy and big scoops, I bet he comes to Egghead himself to report the big incident. Vivi comes with him to see what's going on with her own eyes, reuniting with the Straw Hats. Hold on. I do agree that that's very, very likely. Big News Morgan showing up here, I do think that there's a very good shot that that happens. I think that that's a very, very likely possibility, and at the same time, like, the bigger thing would be, obviously, Vivi reuniting with the Straw Hats, and if she's gonna be on board the Straw Hats ship again, now would be the perfect time to set that up. So I definitely am on board with that. Oh, did we get some gifts? Oh, shit, we got 10 gifted memberships. Polmao, thanks for gifting 10. Thanks a lot. Everybody thank Polmao. Really, really appreciative, man. Thanks every time you come through, gift some memberships. It is appreciated by myself and obviously everybody in chat who gets the gifted memberships. So Phoenix Allen, Varp TM, Mukeet, Luke, Lucy, Jacob, eBaller10, Andrew Nolas, Cooper064, Stormy, and Sneeds, Feed and Seed. Everyone say thank you to Polmao. Big thanks, man. Appreciate it. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. Talha sent a link to something. It's most likely pornography, but I think it's something else. They said Talha says that this is a Straw Hat report card. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me screen. Hold on. Okay. Straw Hat Arc Awards. Let's see what he's got to say. Okay, so Zoro gets a 9 out of 10. I like this formatting, by the way. Cut the Warm Eddy to save Bonney. Ah, come on, we're giving we're giving points for that? That's not like a real. I don't know. Scared Lilith? I don't think these are real come on, man. These aren't real points. Protected ship from Kaku, that's a real thing. Save Lilith yeah, these are real things, right? So we're gonna ignore the top two. I agree. Fought S-Hawk and S-Bear. Fighting Lucci. Cumulative small scenes, 7 out of 10. So I agree. So the question for this is, like, do you do it relative to the character? Because relative to the character, I think we all expected more from Zoro when it came to the Lucci situation, right? I think a lot of us were like, he should be able to deal with this a little bit faster. Oh, shit. No, I didn't promise to watch Opening 26 today. Opening 26 is next Monday. Sorry, I'm reading Ignorant Weed's comment. Thanks for being a Pirate King to your member for 4 months, by the way. Opening 26 is next Monday. Next Monday, I'll be watching the new One Piece, whatever it is, special, Monsters. I'll be watching that. And I'll watch opening 26. Ender Anami, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 16 months, man. Monthly reminder to read Fire Punch in regards to immortality. Here's a relevant Ben 10 quote. At first I went mad, of course, but after a few millennia, I got bored with that too and went sane. Very sane. That's hilarious. That's a Ben 10 quote? That's a really, I like that quote. That's a fun Ben 10 quote. It's pretty sharp for, a kid's cartoon quote. Like, I don't know, I think that's fun. Fire Punch. I already mentioned Fire Punch, man. I'll read that along with Kingdom. Archangel, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. Finally had the opportunity to catch the stream live again. I appreciate you dropping in, of course. Fatingo, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 16 months. Holy shit, man. Current thoughts on Kuma living and dying given the new Buccaneer lore update this chapter. I want him to have a dramatic death so bad, just like you said before, a happy moment before the tragedy. So, my quick thoughts are basically this. If Kuma gets a happy ending at the end of all this, like, gets to just go off into the sunset with Bonney, mind restored, alive, etc., happily ever after, I'll be honest, for me, the whole Kuma story is essentially Oda's greatest fumble, basically. Not just great, I will feel nothing reading pretty much the entirety of that conclusion, right? The final chapters of Kuma's back, it's just a nothing. Everything post Ginny is just nothing to me. And not to, I would, it's almost not, there's no point even almost in talking about it, because it's just like why talk about something that's a negative consequence that we don't even know it's going to happen. However, flip side, if we talk purely about the possibility of Kuma getting his consciousness back temporarily and then having a dramatic death, I'm okay with that. Like, if he gets his consciousness back for a moment, gets to say some final words to Bonney or something, then goes out into sacrifice, sure, that's fine, as long as the tragedy of the character of Bartholomew Kuma is actually a tragedy. That is, to me, that would be like an actual great literary achievement by Oda, right? By any standard. If it's just like a bait and switch, it would fall, I don't know. It's not worth talking about right now. I don't want to go into a whole soliloquy about how cheap it would be if Oda just wrote a happy ending for Kuma at the end of all this, and how much it would negate the majority of the dramatic weight of everything that he set up. There's just no point in me going into it here, right? Because, why? If it happens, it happens, and then we talk about it then. For the moment, let's just assume the best, right? Again, if Kuma gets his consciousness back for a little bit to segue into a dramatic death, that's one thing. That can probably go really, really well. If it's just get consciousness back, live happily ever after, that's a whole totally different path. That is, let's call that the dark path. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, he can come back, but he's got to die. Yeah, basically. Okay. Quickly skimming through this. Yeah, Zoro should be dealing with Lucci faster than this, just based on the expectations for where the character is at now. So, I don't know. If you're talking about objectively how much characters have contributed, yeah, Zoro's contributed probably 9 out of 10. If it's, relative to what we expect out of him, then it's, this much. Then it's, negated a lot, kind of. Because, I kind of, because if it's just objective, then it's not really fair, because then you got to give Nami points, because, she navigated them to Egghead Island. I always say this, however valuable you think each Straw Hat is in a given arc, you always got to give Nami, if you're being purely objective, not being relative to how much a character normally contributes, then Nami's always got to be pretty damn high up the list, objectively speaking, because even if she does very little in the arc, she fucking got them there, and the story doesn't start until Nami gets them there, so that's just a thing to consider. If you're cutting the warm eddy to save Bonney, how the fuck did they even get to Egghead Island in the first place, right? Isn't that a lot more important? So I would give Nami a bunch of points here. Sent S-Shark flying. Yep, big deal. Saved Edison. I don't even remember that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's the same thing. Agree. Locked down Kaku with a bubble gun. Yeah, it would have been cooler if he kicked his ass, but, it's just not the way it is. Yeah. Sanji's doing really well so far, too. I agree with this stuff. Scared Lilith. We're not counting scaring Lilith. Lilith is a friend. Like literally, she became a friend. How is scaring Lilith important? They're friends with Vegapunk now. Lord, yeah, okay. Jinbei's like a 5 out of 10. Again, Nami got them there, so you gotta give her points for that. I don't know how many points. Doctoring. Hey, there was a lot of characters that needed bandaging up. I think you gotta give Chopper more points here. He doctored a lot. Like he took care of Robin, I guess Lucci and Kaku, which isn't helpful, but he doctored a lot. Usopp, I don't even know if he gets the 3 out of 10. Like, are we saying Smoke Bombed S-Shark is equal to Chopper healing everybody? I don't know about that. Why is Cool Outfit? I feel like you're just giving Brook points here. How is Cool Outfit equal to doctoring? So I mostly agree with this, but also kind of not really. I see where you're coming from. Fun idea, though. Okay. Nahal says, bro, Jinbei also got them there. They can get places without Jinbei. You know they spent about 1,000 chapters being able to navigate the seas perfectly fine without Jinbei. Just because Jinbei is the person that they said, hey, you steer, and that's your job, doesn't mean that, oh, fuck, if we don't have Jinbei, no one can fucking steer. They can all steer in some very specific situations. Yeah, like Big Mom's tidal wave. They do need Jinbei specifically to be able to steer, right? Because he's the only one that can navigate stuff like that. But in general, no, Jinbei, like any fucking idiot, anyone besides Luffy and Zoro and Chopper could probably steer the ship, right? They weren't just fucking sailing aimlessly, like, with nobody at the wheel for 1,000 chapters, just being like, fuck, the navigation we have is so good, but if only we had someone who knew how to fucking turn left and right. Come on now. They actually legitimately need Nami to get them places, right? You got to give Nami points. If you're being objective, you got to give Nami points for every single island. You know what I mean? You just got to give her the points because they don't get anywhere otherwise. Let me catch up on this stuff real quick. Again, if you want to do it like relative speaking, like relative to their normal level of contribution, then yeah, that's a different discussion. But then I would dock Zoro as well, because Zoro should be doing more than this. Lewis Summers says, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. Morj, what is your favorite and least favorite moment of your favorite arc? I mean Wano, of course. My favorite moment of Wano is Gear 5th, for sure. Gear 5th is my favorite moment of Wano, and it's one of my favorite moments in all of One Piece. It's a iconic One Piece moment for many reasons. It's maybe my favorite moment in all of post-time skip One Piece. It's just such a beautiful moment. There's so many things that could be said about Gear 5th, and I already have said them. There's multiple videos I've put out praising Gear 5th, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. My least favorite moment of Wano, I don't know if there's like a singular least favorite moment of Wano. A singular least favorite moment of Wano, because there's just too many. It's like, if you just take the whole plot of Wano, like, each individual art, like pillar of it, it's like, okay, if I look at like law and if I look at like kids writing, I could find like a moment in there that's like the worst moment or something. If I look at Zoro's writing, there's like a worst moment. The Straw Hats writing in general, there's a worst moment. If I look at the Scabbard's writing, right, which is a huge part of the story but terribly fleshed out, there's a worst moment there, right? Like, there's so many areas of the arc that, like, it's not like there's one area that's the breaking point of the arc, in my opinion. It's just a cumulative thing of basically like, this was bad, well, this was bad, this was bad, this was bad. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the worst moment is. I can't pick out a single one. It's too difficult. Mark Zeknown, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months. Luffy's disappearance from the scene is confusing to me. You chalk it up to Oda wanting to do a Gear 5th entrance for Bonney and Kuma to see. Yes, definitely. I think that there's a dramatic entrance coming from Luffy. Oda likes his dramatic entrances. For those reasons, I do think it's very possible that Kuma does get his consciousness back temporarily or something like that, just to be able to witness Nika. So I do think that that is a very, very strong possibility. But I don't know if the reason that Luffy's being taken out, like, did someone literally, like, physically carry him away temporarily or something like that so that he can still recover? Or did Luffy choose to exit to make his own dramatic entrance, which would be a little odd? Somebody else before mentioned the ancient robot. I don't know, we have to wait and see, but I think Oda's main reason is that he just wants a dramatic entrance, you know? Just name my personal least favorite. There's too many. I would literally have to go through and really think through the entire arc. Okay. Let's see where we at. Marcel Bean says, "Hey Morjman, you're the joy boy to my night shift." That's actually a really nice thing to say. I appreciate that. Keenan, thanks so much. Thanks for the 5. Can you rank the order in which you think the Straw Hats will achieve their dreams? Like Sanji finding all blue, Zoro beating Mihawk, etc. So I've mentioned this before, but there's a few Straw Hats that I don't think they will literally achieve their dreams by the end of the main narrative, but I think that they will, for all relative intents and purposes, achieve achieve a large aspect of their dream that will be relative to this relevant to the story. So for example, I don't think we will see Chopper literally solve every disease by the end of the main narrative of One Piece, right? Maybe in an epilogue or some shit, he's just known as some doctor that's cured everything. But in the main narrative of One Piece, I don't think that we're going to see Chopper do that. However, I think we will see Chopper do the important part of his dream, which is be able to save somebody that otherwise could not be saved, i.e., in this case, it would be Luffy, right? I think many of us imagine that Luffy will contract some incurable disease at some point, and Chopper will cure it, right? So, if you want to count the relevant completing the relevant aspect of their dream relevant to the story, right? Let's play it that way, because otherwise, I think certain people like Nami, Chopper, I don't think they can complete their actual dream till the epilogue or something, right? But there's a story relevant aspect of their dream that they will complete in their story, right? So with that being said, in order real quick, I think Zoro beating Mihawk comes relatively, no, I think Usopp being known as a brave warrior of the sea, I think that comes relatively early, because I'm an Usopp dies believer, and I think that comes pre-final conflict. Should he make it to Laugh Tale or not? I would love to see him make it to Laugh Tale. Okay, Usopp's difficult. I think Robin and Frankie are early, because both of them, it involves just getting to Laugh Tale. I think immediately after that is Brook, because I do believe that Reverse Mountain gets destroyed before the final battle, in which case Brook gets to reunite with Laboon. I do think that after that, it's a lot of dreams that are resolved in succession. So I think that Chopper will have to cure a disease before they head back to, like Luffy's disease, before they head back to Marijua. I think that Nami will have made a, what's the only way that they can get back to Marijua quickly for the final battle, right? Because normally in One Piece, you can't travel quickly because log posts have to reset. So you're stuck at islands for certain periods of time. And that's how most of the plot of islands are basically set up, that you're set there for some period of time before you can move on, right? So I think that Nami, the whole point of creating a map is that it allows fast travel in the One Piece world, because basically for them to get from the end point of the Grand Line back to the center of the world, right, from opposite ends of the globe, the fastest way to do that is if you have a map that allows you to basically travel straight shot all the way back to Marijua without stopping and waiting for log posts to reset. So I think Nami's map becomes relevant there. Zoro's hard to place. Either he's fighting Mihawk at Laugh Tale, before Laugh Tale, right after Laugh Tale. Let's forget about Zoro. It's too difficult to place where he fights Mihawk. And then I think in rapid succession, finding the One Piece involves destroying the Red Line, so that's when Luffy achieves his dream. I think the All Blue is related to the destruction of the Red Line that Luffy will do, thereby accomplishing Sanji's dream as well. I think that Jinbei, what does he want? Like peace among whatever. That basically happens once Luffy defeats Im, destroys the Red Line. So I think all of that happens in one go. That's the rough order that I imagine things going. Ishan Oren, thank you very much for this very kind comment. Mr. Morj, when you inevitably make your movie masterpiece, will you advertise it to us, even if it means revealing your real name? That's a really, really nice question. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I can't predict where I'll be at a point. I just know that with me, money I'm saving, etc., basically, at some point I will be leaving YouTube to make an independent film, and that'll just be the start of a new phase of whatever. And I am basically taking steps towards that, and most money is being saved towards that, right? Will I advertise it to you guys? I don't know. That's something that will be decided down the line, right? To me, that's separate from all this. I don't know. And you never know how things work out. Maybe I never get to. I don't like believing that. I can't imagine a future where I don't eventually get to make it, good, bad, or whatever. High budget, low budget, whatever. But that's like a very fundamental need of mine. So I can't imagine a future where that doesn't happen. But you never know what happens, right? What if I get in a car accident and I lose all my limbs? I probably wouldn't be able to direct a movie at that point, right? I probably have other priorities. So you never know what curveballs life hits you with. But whether I'd advertise it, I don't know. It would just depend on so many factors, right? So let's just take things one step at a time. For the moment, I'm still doing YouTube. And I'm not directing a movie right now. So, we don't know. Jolly D. Joester, thanks for the 2. Thoughts on Zoro defeating Base Lucci on chapter 1111? It's going to take him that long? Is it going to take him that long to defeat Base Lucci? Isn't Lucci in hybrid? Is Lucci not in hybrid form? Sean Oren says, missed my super? Did I? No, I just got it. I'm going in order. Basically, for those of you who don't know, I try and get any membership things first, because once a membership thing goes up the feed, disappears, I don't have an easy way of finding it again. And then I get back to supers, just because supers I can always pull up again in a separate tab. So it's just the way YouTube works. I didn't design it. It's just I've got the platform that I've got, right? Is Lucci not in hybrid? Can anyone confirm? Is Lucci in his awakened form? Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Let's get it up to 200. Wade Turner says you don't want us to see your movie. Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors. What if I'm embarrassed about it? What if I make this movie and it's just, I realize at the end it's really, really bad, and I feel self-conscious about it? I'm like, would I release it? I don't know. I don't know if I've got the what do you call it? I don't know if I've got it in me to basically be like, hey, everybody who's followed me for X number of years, I made this movie and you guys all watch it even though it's really, really bad. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to subject you guys to that. I don't know if I've got the got it in me to be able to just expose a shoddy piece of work to people like that, I don't know. You never know. Cigar Verk, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months, man. Hi, Lord, joining the stream after a long time. Who do you think? Yeah, man, it's been a minute, but I appreciate the support after, through all of this. Who do I think is the last villain? I guess it's still Blackbeard. It's because I believe that the solar system we saw in Ohara... I need the second part of this. Torchlight17 says pretend it's a comedy. What, the Michael Scarn movie? Just as good as Threat Level Midnight. I need the second part of this one. Okay, Cigarverick is following up, which is assumed to depict multiple moons. Was wrong understanding that everything revolves around the Earth. Emu. Luffy's son defeats him and people know new solar system and fights darkness. Okay, so what you just said there is something that I do believe, which is that there's not necessarily multiple moons in the One Piece verse. It's just that the model of the solar system they saw earlier had Earth as the center, because I believe that's just what people believed back in the olden days, and One Piece draws upon just olden era beliefs and stuff it's just the One Piece world is not a super they have high level technology in random ways because of Vegapunk and shit, but in general it's a more archaic style of world, right? They have lots of beliefs in what we would call nowadays pagan gods and stuff like that, and just it's not like they're super knowledgeable about the ways of the universe, right? So I would not be surprised if the solar system we saw, like you said, I've often believed One Piece world does not have multiple moons. It's just that those are the other planetary bodies surrounding the Earth. Okay. That being said, I don't 100% follow the next part of what you're saying. Everything revolves around the Earth. Yeah, Emu. Luffy the son defeats him, and people know the new solar system and fight the darkness. I get where you're going at symbolically, but couldn't you also argue that Blackbeard just represents the moon, right? Emu Earth, Luffy sun, Blackbeard moon, and in that regard, basically, you've kind of, and then obviously, like, actually, if you go through all of the planets in One Piece, it lines up really, really interesting, right? Like, you've got pretty much perfect, right? We all know that Pluto's a planet, right? For the record, Pluto is a planet because I grew up at a time that Pluto was a planet, and I don't know what the fuck happened to science, like, in the 2000s or something like that, or like 2010s, but some idiots just arbitrarily decided that they're going to remove one of the planets, Pluto, even though Pluto was one of the coolest planets, right? God of the underworld, it's the one that's furthest out there. I can't respect any scientist that does not consider Pluto a planet. I don't care who you are, right? Pluto is a planet, we all know, right? Now, if you consider Pluto as one of the 9 planets, right? So you got the 3 ancient weapons, right? You got Uranus, Pluton, and Poseidon, which is basically Neptune, right? So 3 of the planets covered there. Then you got the 5 Gorosei, covering the next several planets like Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, right? And then to wrap up the celestial bodies, you have Luffy representing the sun, Emo the earth, and Blackbeard the moon, right? So yeah, I think that Blackbeard representing the moon makes the most sense to me. And in that regard, I just don't think that... I don't know if the moon would be the final battle for Luffy necessarily. I don't know. Red Agrid, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 4 months. Thoughts on Kizaru's actions this chapter? Will he secretly help the Strats again? I don't see him openly rebelling against Saturn. That's the thing. So Kizaru's actions this chapter make sense because what he did Let's assume, first of all, are we still on board? Let me do a quick poll. Quick poll. Do we think that... I still believe that Kizaru gave Luffy the food. I thought that was the implication last time, right? It's not... I don't think it's so black and white that it's like, oh, Kizaru is gonna give Luffy the food, right? That means he's a good guy. Oh, but now Kizaru's fighting against the Straw Hats. So he was a bad guy, so he didn't give the food? I think the point is the ambiguity, because Kizaru himself is in a tricky place, right? We know what he wants, which is not for Vegapunk to die, but we know what his top... like, what his overriding mission priority is, which is basically he's going to do as the world government says. But he's giving himself a little bit of wiggle room in that by feeding Luffy, he himself is not fighting against Saturn, not fighting against the world government, but he is just making it a little easier for somebody else to do so. And that's, at that point, that's just whatever happens, right? So Kizaru's basically allowing something to go wrong for the world government, right? But he himself seems to still be going to play out things the way that he's supposed to play out things, and it's kind of like it's on Luffy and them to stop him. It's like, I've given you the tools. Please stop me. Please stop us. But, you know, I'm still going to try and do what I'm going to do. But I'm going to make it a little easier for you to try and stop us, basically, right? That's the sense that I'm getting so far. Did Kizaru give Luffy the food? If Kizaru didn't give Luffy the food, that's fine, as long as Kizaru's arc doesn't just stop here. I really, really do hope that we get to continue to explore Kizaru being split in terms of his desire, personal desire, and his duty. I really do hope. Okay. Oh, if Lafitte has hypnosis, which he does, we know Lafitte has hypnosis, Luffy is done. You want to talk about the worst matchups for Luffy? It's Lafitte. It's literally Lafitte. Because I still believe to this day, you don't even need Lafitte. You could throw fucking Miss Golden Week at Luffy, and I think to this day, it would still work against him. Okay, that's interesting. So now it's pretty split. Like, I'm confused. Like, what did people think, though? Like, if you thought last chapter that Kizaru did give Luffy the food, because I think that most people last chapter did think that Kizaru gave Luffy the food, right? So if you're one of the people last chapter who thought that Kizaru gave Luffy the food, and now all of a sudden you don't agree with that, like, what did you think the next thing Kizaru would be? You think that Kizaru gave Luffy the food, and then the next chapter, this chapter, he's gonna stand up to Saturn and, like, shoot laser beams at his face? Like, what did you think? Like, you thought that all of a sudden, like, Kizaru's going to do this big, blatant, open rebellion? I'm just curious for all of the people voting no. Basically, if last chapter you thought that Kizaru gave Luffy the food, and now this chapter you no longer think Kizaru gave Luffy the food, what did you expect Kizaru's next action to be? Did you think that basically giving Luffy the food in secret was just, that means that Kizaru's openly going to be rebelling against the world government from here? I'm curious. Party McFly, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 9 months. Do you think there's anything to the first generation of Pacifistas being made from Buccaneers and second generation being made from Lunarians? Could there be a third from Giants? So the second generation Seraphims, they already have giant DNA as far as we can tell. They're huge. They're fucking huge. It's been talked about how they're way bigger than what they should be. Like the Jinbei Seraphim is, I think it was commented on that it's bigger than Jinbei and it's like a kid right now, right? So the Seraphim, the idea is that they're the ultimate. They're a combination of a whole bunch of shit. They're a combination of Lunarian DNA, Devil Fruit infusion, gigantism, and obviously the Shichibukai's DNA. So they're the full package. I don't think we need a third generation, because the idea is that like they couldn't even deal with the second generation properly, right? Like they could if they went all out, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, they had to bubblegum. Like, we never saw it. We never saw proof. They had to bubblegum them away. And they are in children. Like, they're children right now. Like, they're just kids. They're literally just kids right now. And there were a serious problem that had to basically be, like, plot deviced away. You know what I mean? So, we don't need a third generation. The Seraphim we've got right now are pretty much as good as it gets. Vegapunk even referred to them as the ultimate beings. Let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. All right, continuing on. Evil Friend, thanks for the 5. You ever seen Dark? I know you got a big to watch list, but if you like time travel, Dark is by far peak time show / movie, in my opinion. I've heard so many good things about Dark. Dark is on my list of things to watch. It's just like, this is part of the problem of being like an anime and manga fan, which is like, you got so many normal people recommending normal things to you, like Better Call Saul, or like Dark, or like, you know, real TV shows and stuff. And that's all very time consuming. But then you're also in the anime and manga sphere, and then you've got anime and manga people recommending, you know, Morj read Fire Punch, Morj read Kingdom, Morj read Dan Da Dan. Like, it's so many things, right? So it's just like too many things. And then you've got random book people coming in, and I do want to read. I want to get back into reading. And they're like, have you read Brandon Sanderson? Each book is only 1,500 pages long, and they're 15 books. And I'm like, no, I haven't read Brandon Sanderson yet. I don't know, man. Oh, and then there's video game people coming in, and I guess they were persuasive because I'm playing video games again for the first time since, like, May last year, I guess. I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. So, video game people, you guys won for the time being, because I'm playing a video game at the moment. Who knows what I do next? Maybe I read Kingdom. I don't know. But I do want to read. I do want to watch Dark, because even if it's not, like, some people are debating in the comments how good it is. It's not about, like, as long as the concept's really interesting and fun, like, I really like sci-fi type stuff. So usually as long as I'm down with the concept, I'm on board. Morj read Dragon Ball. Just, Ender Anami says, just read, watch, and play all of these things on stream. You guys need to understand something about me. I am not an organic, natural, I'm just not I'm just not one of those type of streamers. Like, that's just not coded into my DNA, okay? I just can't do that. It's not, it ruins so much of whatever I'm trying to enjoy if I feel like I'm being watched by other people, if I feel like in my head, like, are people bored watching me? Should I be talking more and stuff like that? And here's the thing. People said, like, no, Morj, just like, you can just play a game and enjoy it, and like, we'll just watch or something like that. And I did one stream where I played Sekiro, right? And I started the Sekiro stream. I beat Ishin, right? First try, I might add. For those of you who would like to know, right? So I felt good after that. I was like, okay, I just put on a pretty good performance, just took out Ishin. And then I'm reading chat and people are like, Morj doesn't talk while he's playing. Like, Morj, you need to share your thoughts. Like, all the all the chat comments are like, Morj, you're not doing it right. You need to be talking and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? That's like... So you guys lied earlier when I said I didn't need to talk. After that, I tried talking while playing the Demon of Hatred, which is difficult. So it's a difficult balance. I don't know. But even if it wasn't even about like how difficult it is to play a game while talking, like take the multitasking out of it. For me, it's just the enjoyment factor. I just want to be able to enjoy what I'm doing and like just be in my own world and immersed and stuff like that. I don't like feeling like I'm performing for some other people, basically. That's basically it. It's just the way it is. Everyone's built different. I'm just not built for that. Nerve AMV Meeker. Nerve AMV Maker, thank you for the 10. When it comes to Zoro, I really want him to have some type of interaction/reaction to Kuma this arc. That's a really good point. Zoro's not running to Kuma. Yeah. That would be a really, really cool thing for Zoro to find out. All this. Also, do you think Bonney will be a kid going forward, or will she be mostly in her grown-up form? I feel like we might see Bonney more frequently as a kid going forward. I just think that, like, let's say she becomes... I mean, there's 2 forks in the road here, right? Maybe 3. One is Kuma gets fixed and is fine from here on. In which case, Kuma and Bonney probably go off and do their own thing. Father and daughter, happy, right? I would hate that. And if that's the case, though, then Bonnie's obviously just going to be a kid, right? Option 2 is Bonney joins the Straw Hats, in which case I do think we would see her more in cabin girl role, in which case I think she'd be a kid most of the time. And then finally, option 3 is if she just joins the Revolutionary Army or something like that, or goes off to do her own thing, her own mission, in which case I think she'd be in adult mode again for most of the time. Shattered Glass, thank you very much. What if Luffy, afflicted with another stronger Sapphire Scale disease, and Chopper gotta heal him? I like that idea. I like that idea because it's an established disease that we just learned about that was incurable in the past, and it was a very tragic the way that played out. No, but Vegapunk cured the Sapphire Scale disease. So I would like for it to be something new. You're saying it's a stronger one, but I guess it would have to be established that nobody else can cure it, that Vegapunk can't do it either. I think that would have to be established. Also, do I think Dragon makes his entrance this year? I don't even know what that means. Dragon's he's been around. He's been in chapters. I think we cut back to him literally last chapter. What do you mean his entrance? Like, he's there. He's just not... Are you saying is this the year the Dragon does something? I don't know. I feel like, I think people will be disappointed, but I don't have a ton of expectations for Dragon to do something big this year. Just because, like I've been saying, I feel like Dragon's big time in the story to really go nuts and do shit, in my opinion, that's once we're hitting the world government side of things, when it's time to fight them. I feel like we're still in the phase of the story where characters like Shanks, the red-haired pirates, like pirate stuff. I feel like next arc it's Elbaf, right? Dealing with Shanks doing stuff. Maybe the Gods Knights are a problem. The Blackbeard pirates are a problem. I feel like Dragon, like, he would really make a splash when it's time to fight the world government. So maybe we see Dragon versus Gods Knights or something soon. But beyond that, I'm not really sure what he would necessarily have to be relevant for yet. Like, right? Like, I feel like he's being saved for the final stuff. I don't know. Marcel Beans, thank you very much. Son of Science Sanji and Cyborg Frankie against Science Warrior God Saturn. That's a good way to put it. I didn't really think about it like that, because I just don't automatically think of Sanji as, like, this science guy and, like, the warrior of science. Just because it's such a random new aspect of his character. Like, we've been with Sanji for 1,000 chapters. It's just in the last 100 or so that we've started thinking of him as, like, this science cyborg dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a far cry from the Sanji I once knew and how I understood him and his abilities and his strengths and such. It's just, I don't know. For me, it would be like, okay, if like, I don't know, like, next 50 chapters it's established that Zoro's, like, part vampire, and then, like, now it's just known as, like, Zoro the vampire guy or something, and, like, that's his big thing. I don't know. So I don't really think about that as being part of Sanji's persona automatically, but you're very right that that's essentially the matchup that's happening right now. I just didn't think about it, so that's funny. Dick so small I piss on my balls. With amber lead and now sapphire scales, I bet Roger's disease had gold in the name. Oh, that's cool. Gold Roger was a way to hide the D and mock him. I don't know about that, but that is a really interesting trend that you just mentioned. Gold disease, I don't know. That'd be cool. I like that. It's a good point. Japanese Jim, thanks for the 5. What phenomena do you think is keeping someone from just accidentally stumbling across Laugh Tale? We know there's coordinates, but there has to be more. That's a great question. One of the things that I've always thought, and let's get the stream likes to 200 because we're real close. One of the things I've always felt is that Laugh Tale is most likely something related to the moon. So I feel like to avoid it being just stumbled upon, I feel like it's something either way up in the sky or on the seafloor or even beyond the sky space or something. So I feel like Laugh Tale might be one of those things. Like, this might be just too wild to actually fit and too ridiculous, but I've wondered if Laugh Tale's coordinates are something like you put all of the X's together, right? The road poneglyphs, so you get to the center, and then you're supposed to be at the center at a certain time of the day or like certain moment in the moon cycle, and you go straight up or something like that, and then wherever you end up on the moon is where the One Piece is. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I just feel like the Straw Hats going to the moon is something that seems very possible. And there's one extra little thing to think about that's interesting. So we did a color spread tier list a while back on this channel. To date, one of my favorite streams ever. So go ahead and revisit that if you'd like. But it was, honestly, I don't use this just offhandedly. It felt magical going through the entire story and just seeing the progression of color spreads. Because you forget so many of them, and there's so many just charming, beautiful ones that are just, lost in your memory most likely. And it's just a great walk through the series. But long little tangent to say, went through, I don't know, like hundreds of color spreads, right? 100-something color spreads probably. And amidst all of the contexts in which you've seen Oda draw the Straw Hats, right? Like in fucking Paris, in like wild jungles, in like ancient caveman times, whatever, right? You see it in a million different contexts, like in a treehouse in the sky, in like teacups swirling around the sky at night or something like that. Like, you see them in a million different contexts. Not once did Oda ever draw a color spread of the Straw Hats in space. Never. To date, there has never been, and you would think that that's some idea that would come up at some point, right? Like, he drew them fucking underwater in color spreads, in like fire volcano stuff, like random abstract art. He did a million things, right? Never once has he's holding something back, I feel like, there. He's never drawn the Straw Hats in space. To me, that was just an interesting little aspect of the color spread read-through. Like, it's just never happened. He's always refrained from doing that. The closest he ever did, which is my favorite color spread, and it's the one that won the poll at the end, is the Straw Hats in a train going through the sky at night, and you have the moon in the background. But they're not in space. They're still clearly... They're just on a train going through the sky, basically. That's the closest, right? Oda even kind of refrains from drawing stuff like too close to the moon in color spreads. So to me, it's just a thought. It's just like, maybe Oda's really saving the space ideas for when it's time to do the Straw Hats in space. I don't think Oda did any color spreads of the Straw Hats in the sky before Skypiea, because you kind of want to save that visual for then. And then I think post Skypiea, there were color spreads of, random stuff like the Straw Hats doing stuff in the sky. So just something to think about. Anyway. Moving on. Caleb H, thanks for the 2. Across the Spider-Verse comes back in theaters tomorrow. Really? Okay, I'm going to watch it then. Maybe not tomorrow, but... Let me get... Hold on. Because I didn't watch it in theaters, and I really regret that. I figured I would just wait till... Oh, it's on Netflix, though? I might just watch it on Netflix, man. Yeah, we'll see. It's probably going to be better in theaters, but I've got a big-ass TV. It's a very big TV. It's funny, when I moved here, I had nothing, right? I had very little furniture. I brought almost no furniture and stuff, but I spent before I had a couch or anything like that, the first thing that I spent like as much cash as possible on was just a giant ass TV, because I was like, this is just top priority. For whatever reason, I was like, well, what do you mean for whatever reason? Like, in my head, I was just like, I need the big ass TV, and then everything else will assemble itself over time, basically. So for some time, I had my bed and like other random stuff, but like the only real piece of living room stuff that I had was this big ass TV. That was the first thing I invested in, and then after that, slowly I picked up more furniture as time went on. Anyway, I've got a big ass TV made for things like Across the Spider-Verse. We'll probably watch it on that if it's on Netflix. Anyway, but the movies is bigger. That's true. The movies is bigger. Because no matter how big your TV is, the movie's gonna be big. The theater's gonna be bigger. I'll think about it. Cigar Verk. Oh no, we covered this. Meek, thanks to the 5. You think Saturn's ability to take 0 damage from these attacks are analogous to how Enel took 0 damage until Luffy was shown as the natural counter? So for a little bit, I was like, okay, so Saturn, he basically, he can regenerate from anything. So I was like, okay, cool, that's kind of like Marco. It's a little bit different in that Saturn's ability, from what it seems so far, is pretty funny when you think about it, because it's not like Marco. It's more like Wolverine, I suppose. Obviously Wolverine heals from like cell stuff. Saturn seems more magic, but with Marco, it seems like he's not really taking the damage in the first place, right? If you look at all of the moments where Marco's being attacked and regenerating, it seems like he's basically like, he is like a flame. Like he's just like the flame's automatically regenerating as he's taking the attack. Like you can look at the first time Kizaru attacked him, or just in general, any moment characters attack Marco, it's happening automatically. It doesn't look like he's getting hurt. Saturn's ability is so funny because he regenerates, yes, but it seems like he does take the damage first. So he gets fucked up first, and then he gets fixed. But it's just funnier to me because he is this really powerful, like just a clearly very, very powerful character that is going to be very hard to actually permanently deal damage to. But I just find it funny that like anything random, like if Bonney runs at him with a sword and she stabs him with the sword using no abilities, no devil fruit, anything, no hockey or anything, just stabbing him with a sword, he's going to take that sword stab and it's going to hurt him. And like, you know, Kuma punched him. Kuma sent him flying through all these buildings and all of this shit. And like Saturn comes out like bloodied and like injured. And yes, he immediately, like not immediately, but he heals and everything. But I find it really funny that he does have to actually get fucked up first, so that it's just like gets fucked up. And after that, he's like, "No, I'm good." Like, you know what I mean? It's just it makes it a little. It's more comical to me, you know. It's like I know he's gonna be okay. He's gonna fix himself from it, but he does have to take it first. Like he has to experience that pain first, and he does have to feel like he just got hit by a bus first, right? So no, I don't feel like it's the same thing as Enel's, because if you go back and like read Skypiea, I was talking about it on the last Yonko podcast that came out this Friday, last Friday. Skypiea, it's just wild because there's never in any arc since that arc and like before that arc or since that arc that there's been an antagonist as literally untouchable as Enel, where nobody could do anything against him. It was genuinely like they were fighting God. Like it was just this broken plot monster that was just traveling through the island. You could not touch him. You could not phase him. You could not surprise him. It was just like actually just an untouchable being, right? And he could one-shot anybody the moment he chose, right? The only thing was Enel with Wiper with Sea Stone. But in terms of all characters like normal ability set, right? They just could not do anything to him, right? Enel was the most untouchable a villain has ever been in One Piece in the context of their given arc. He's the only character where you could line up all the strongest characters in the arc, right? So Wiper, Zoro, Robin, Gonfall, you can line them all up, because that was literally like minus Sanji, that was basically the strongest lineup you could throw together on Sky Island, and he could zero diff all of them without a single scratch. Like none of them could do anything, like not a single scratch. Like he is unhurt, right? Again, Wiper with the Kairoseki, but that's essentially Wiper breaking the like that's taking advantage of devil fruit rules, right? Like obviously, like, you know, that's just the sea essentially, but in terms of their normal ability set, it was just there's nothing, right? It's just like you can't even scale how much stronger Enel was than them, because it's just like they were literally essentially like ants to him, right? I don't get the same sense with Saturn right now. I don't think that's the same thing. Zolden, thanks for the 5. Morj, how do you like Tears of the Kingdom if you played more? So Tears of the Kingdom I think is phenomenal so far. Like genuinely, I love this game. I really, really, really love this game. I'm not far whatsoever in it because just between this week and last weekend, I had almost zero time to play it. I also find it to be a little bit difficult of a game to just drop in and play for like 30 minutes to an hour, which is what I usually have at the end of my day or night or whatever. Because there's so many characters that want a piece of your time and are telling you about like, hey, my kid got fucking lost in a well and there's like 8 wells out there, so just go. That's not what they say, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like along those lines, like my cat got stuck in a volcano, that sort of shit, right? It's just, can you find this cave and get me this mushroom? Lots of shit like that. So it's so many things being like options. I would really, really love a day or something like if I get a nice long free day where I have no work stuff, no social stuff or whatever, I would love a nice long day to just sit, probably smoke, and just play Tears of the Kingdom from morning to night. It is a visually gorgeous game. I don't feel like hurried playing it because I feel like you can just roam around, like end up in the sky, just explore the sky for like a little bit. But at the same time, there's so much stuff to do. It is difficult for me to just like so much stuff to do and so much stuff you want to do that it's difficult for me to like just tune in for like a little bit. Because like I think where I left off, I was on a sky island and it's like pick up this crystal and get it back to this shrine or something like that. And I can already tell that there's a lot of steps to doing that, or I kind of got to figure out some shit to do that. And there's other stuff on that same sky island, so you kind of got to figure out your priorities. So it is it basically where I'm at right now is that seems like a phenomenal game. I wish I had more time to play it. I could see it becoming like it's too early to say anything about it really, but I could see it becoming like my favorite Zelda game, my favorite game. I don't know. It's too early for me to really say anything, but I love the concept. I love what little I've been able to play of it so far. I love the visuals. The color palette is so, I don't know, it's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, especially during the daytime. Just wandering the sky in the daytime or the fields in the daytime. I don't know. Yeah, if I were to describe it, it feels like a very free game, but at the same time a game with like a lot of shit that makes me feel like I wish I had more free time to be able to explore all of it. So it's like a free game, but also a game with like a lot of like to-dos. So it's a weird feeling. But anyway, yeah, I like the game. I like the game a lot. Just too early for me to like do anything like rating the game or like comparing it to other games, but I could easily see it being like the possibilities seem endless with this game. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. Shimotsuki Zoro R is the moon. Blackbeard is darkness. We already saw Sun versus darkness and Ace versus Blackbeard. Sun versus darkness, black hole seems like a greater fight at the end. Okay, I get where you're getting at there. At the same time, it's just like, yeah, that is true. Blackbeard is more so the darkness than he's been represented by the moon. Although if you go back to like Kid Blackbeard, he is represented by like like it's him staring up at the moon. That's him as a child. So that is something to consider. I do think that symbolism is there for him, but I would agree that maybe just straight up darkness better fits him. So, look, I don't know if like just you can go purely off of symbolism to determine what the end of the story, the final conflict is going to be, because you can kind of decide like the final conflict being the sun versus the darkness has to be the end of the story. I mean, Ace versus Blackbeard was literally phrased as the sun versus the darkness, and that was kind of the dividing point of the story. So one of the biggest things that's difficult for me is that it feels as though the Celestial Dragons and the world government have been built up more and more in the last 20, 30 chapters to be framed as the final bad guys of the story. I have a hard time seeing Blackbeard and the Blackbeard Pirates playing that role. And a large part of it is just because of the Blackbeard Pirates themselves. So I'm always going to be open to the idea of Blackbeard himself being the final villain of the story. It's just hard for me to see that right now. I love Blackbeard as a character. I think he would be a better final villain, a more unique final villain for One Piece than Imu, because let's be honest, Imu, as we know him to be so far, it's a cool, very foreboding, excellent, like, screen presence type character. It's awesome, like this evil emperor type thing. You still see variations of Imu in other stories, right? Blackbeard's a really, really cool concept. I would love for Blackbeard to be the final villain of One Piece. I do think at the end of the day he will be the most famous villain of One Piece and like the most iconic villain in One Piece. I don't know if he'll be the final villain. I don't know. I would love for that to be the case. I just can't. I don't know if that's the way the story's going. Stan Cedar, thanks for the 5. You think warping will be relevant in the end? In 1066, we were introduced to the Stella to the Vegapunk Stella via a warp. Could the food and Luffy have been warped? Warping might be important for fast travel, but I feel like sailing always needs to be important in One Piece to some degree, just because of the concept of the story. And I feel like if they can just warp, like fast travel in One Piece almost feels wrong because like the whole story of One Piece is built on this idea of journeying and like having to travel your way through these various islands, and the sailing and the travel is just an integral part of what makes One Piece, right? Some stories, locations don't matter too much, right? It's fine, like if in Bleach you can get from Hueco Mundo to the real world, like that or something. Like it's not a big part of the story, but One Piece, it feels like the sea, what the sea represents, what traversing the ocean represents. It just adds to the scale of the story, and it just adds to the sense that like this is an adventure at the end of the day. And I think that Nami, it's just important. Like if they just start being able to teleport, I feel like that hurts a lot of Nami's role and like the Sunny's role, like the Thousand Sunny. I think these are all important things, and then in that in turn hurts Frankie's role, you know. Not a Pro 64, thanks for the 5. Base Lucci is an agenda meme. For real though, Lucci has been heavily underrated taking these Gear 5 hits. This form beat Kaido, KO'd Kizaru, also Saint Imu Nerona. M-U-N? I don't know what that means. Imu Nerona? I don't get it. Moon? Oh, Moon. I see what you're saying. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how much is like a stretch or people trying to fit things. I don't know at the moment with that sort of thing. But to be fair, I don't think that Luffy used Advanced Conqueror's Haki against Lucci the way he was using against Kaido, for example. But I have always maintained that Lucci was up. So if people go back to like the top 30 list that I did, right, earlier, like midway through last year, a lot of people were flipping out that I had Lucci above like Katakuri. Like just because Lucci had to fight Gear 5th Luffy and get humiliated doesn't mean that like Katakuri would have lost even faster, because like consider where Luffy was at the end of Whole Cake Island and like where he reached after that. It's the gap is like fucking astronomical, you know. Luffy could do to Katakuri what Kaido did to him in Act 1, you know what I mean? So I think people underrated Lucci a lot based off of that, but based off of like Lucci doing anything at all and lasting 2 chapters at all against a Yonko, granted a Yonko not trying that hard, but still a Yonko lasting 2 chapters was really, really impressive. It's just that people like because it's being used to hype up Luffy, you don't really get the full context. You're not thinking like, oh, Lucci's holding up against a Yonko like an emperor for 2 chapters, an emperor going easy, but he's holding up against an emperor for 2 chapters. Holy shit, that's really impressive. You're thinking like, Lucci's getting fucked up. He's not that impressive. It's like, no, in the grand scheme of things, Lucci's really, really impressive. It's just like people forget like Luffy's just that strong, you know? Luffy's just that strong. Ramen Stains, thanks for the 10. Book Rec, Malazan. Oh, I've heard really good things about Malazan. So here are the things that people tend to recommend when they recommend like big fantasy stories. They recommend Malazan. They recommend what is it, the King Killer Chronicles? Am I crazy? The King Killer Chronicles, and then Brandon Sanderson books. King Killer Chronicles, right? Yeah, the King Killer Chronicles. Those are the 3 that I normally hear recommended as like the modern epic fantasies. So, or epic like the modern big fantasy books or series. King Killer Chronicles, Malazan, and Brandon Sanderson books. Very high fantasy series, great character work, complex plots, amazing theming, and some of the best world building I've read. Only negative is how the author just throws you in it. I wonder if that's a negative. I would have to try it out to experience. But again, like, I'm probably, if I get back into reading, I'll probably read Brandon Sanderson stuff first. But I've heard enough about Malazan that, like, trust me, that's something that I would try as well, should I get back into fantasy. The Final Storm, thank you for the 5. What if Neo Mads finds Kaido's body? Oh, Neo Mads, holy shit. Well, how would they would have to get into Wano. I think that's going to be very difficult. Also, Big Mom's ship ran into CP0. Could hint at a future Mother Caramel reveal. Again, crazy least likely ideas. That is interesting. There's a lot of threads that Oda could just choose to pick up. I do wonder how Mads gets involved, like the Neo Mads gets involved in the story again, because it's hard to tell. I imagine they will be relevant. It's just really hard to say how. Flip says strongest person in One Piece that Jogo beats. It depends if you're talking about like anime Jogo or like manga Jogo, because I did finally get to watch Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. The anime, they did a phenomenal job. I think they did a even better, like I think the anime for Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely better than the manga at this point. Only thing I'll say is that the manga being in black and white gave the arc a very special feel, like a bit more of a horror feel, just because that's just what black and white does. But the anime, obviously, overall, like, it knocked it so far out of the park. Like, so many moments, character deaths, etc., just done so beautifully, so much more dramatically in the anime. And the fights, holy shit, man. I'm not gonna go bore you guys talking about it. You all know how good the fights are if you've seen it, but it's fucking crazy. But they do scale some stuff up really, really high, including Jogo's shit. So, I think anime and manga Jogo, it's two different discussions. Jogo's the best character in Jujutsu Kaisen BTW. And says, someone tell me what makes more sense than Lafitte kidnapping Luffy right now. How did he randomly just go missing in front of everyone? Lafitte kidnapping Luffy would be... It's so reasonable. Because Lafitte can turn invisible. He can sneak up on anyone. Literally anyone. Like, if you sneak up on a room filled with Mihawk, Sengoku, Vice Admirals, Doflamingo, if you can sneak up on them, you can sneak up anywhere, right? And he has invisibility, and he has hypnotism, which will always work on Luffy. So, if Lafitte is anywhere, yeah, I could definitely believe that. Yokai Gota says, too bad the manga peaked in Shibuya, lol. I've heard that a lot. Based on things I've heard people say about the next arc, I can understand why. What I decided, so for those of you who don't know, I read Jujutsu Kaisen all the way up through the Shibuya incident arc, which is, coincidentally, that's where season 2 ends, okay? Then I took a long break, and I tuned into the manga. I skipped a bunch of chapters. I tuned into the manga for a certain event that happens, okay? And I read that event. But I don't know, basically, this long in-between period. So I'm just not going to read. I'm not going to catch up. Because I enjoyed the anime so much, I'm just going to wait till the anime animates that season, and then I'll catch up through the anime. I think I'll just do that. What is this? Vasco shot. We don't know about invisibility? For some... Oh, shit. I don't know why I said invisibility. I've mixed him up with fucking, Shiryu. Yeah, he can't turn invisible. I guess he wouldn't need to. Oh, Joy Girl's here. Wait, when is that video coming out? I'm curious. I want to know what the video is for. Because I don't like submitting... Wait, am I even allowed to spoil this? I think I'll just spoil... I was made to submit... I had to submit a video clip for some Joy Girl compilation thing that she's making. So we'll find out what that is. So I guess people go tune in and watch that video whenever it comes out. Cigar Verk, thank you for the 10. I'm thinking Emu is Dragon Luffy victim. Blackbeard steals Emu's power. And Luffy versus Blackbeard 1v1. Blackbeard steals Emu's power. And Luffy versus Blackbeard 1v1. Oh, that's a cool idea. Emu seems to be a team victim. Separate topic, why everyone thinks Zoro versus Lucci has been going on for days. It's been a few minutes. Okay, it hasn't been going on that long, but it feel like the way people talked about Zoro beforehand makes it sound like he would beat Lucci right away, and that hasn't happened. So it's relative to how characters were hyping up Zoro beforehand. Like Zoro would wash Lucci. It's like, if you're huffing and puffing, then you've already not lived up to what people hyped you up to be. As for Blackbeard and Emu, I could see Blackbeard being the final villain. I'm always open to that idea. I like the idea that Emu's defeated in a team effort, and then Blackbeard is final 1v1 effort or something like that. Oh, I missed a couple supers? My bad. Hold on. What supers did I miss? I don't think I missed any supers. As far as I can tell. I think I'm caught up, man. I don't think I missed any supers. I'm going back to the beginning of the stream. I think I'm caught up. Oh, no. No, I did miss 2 supers. I missed 3 supers. Okay, my bad. Manny, thank you for the 10. Hey, Morj, just got 2 questions for you. 1, do you have a favorite One Piece video game? No, I've never played a One Piece video game. Oh, no. I played one that was like one time, actually at my editor's place. Like, he just had, like, this was back when I was in Maryland for a bit. I was at his place, and he was just like, I have a One Piece video game. And I played like 2 rounds of that. It was some fight. It was like a 3D arena fighting game, basically. It was kind of good. I forget if it was One Piece or something. I forget what it was. I think it was One Piece. And 2, what special... So I guess that's my favorite because I played it. What special ability do you think Vegapunk was referring to for Buccaneers? If I had to guess... I would say... something to do with... So, like, you know how Blackbeard supposedly has, like, a special body or something like that seems to allow him to eat multiple devil fruits? And people have suggested that means that that means that, how do I say, that he might be able to have split personalities or like house multiple bodies or something like that, you know? So let's say hypothetically Blackbeard's a Buccaneer, hypothetically, right? If Blackbeard's a Buccaneer, then it might be the same type of thing that Kuma's got going on. That's the only thing I can think of, where there's something special about their body that allows for multiple, who knows, souls, consciousness, whatever. Something that allows them, like, some split aspect of their persona. I don't know. That's my thought. That's my only thought. Billy Bitchcakes. Excellent name. Thanks for the 5. Morj. Since Corey from That's So Raven moved from San Francisco to DC, does that make Corey in the House an isekai? Corey in the House is the best anime of all time, but I never thought about it as an isekai until now. I think you're right. Corey in the House, was that a good show? I'm trying to remember now. I feel like it was a bad show, but even for like kid standards, I feel like it was a bad show, but I still enjoyed watching it. I'm trying to remember. What did I like? I liked... There was Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. There was Hannah Montana, which I did think was somewhat funny at moments. There was Wizards of Waverly Place, which I watched towards the beginning of when that was coming out. I thought that was good. There was Corey in the House, which I think too old to be watching that basically, but I still saw some, and I thought it was bad. So there was some stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's too hard to rate those. I feel like Nickelodeon actually had legitimately funny shows that somewhat hold up. Like Drake and Josh, they're Drake and Josh episodes that I'm pretty sure if I watched today would still hold up for me as an adult, you know? Rock Nation Brunch, thanks for the 5. Morj, did you see the clip of the Lucia incident in the anime? It was done extremely well, and Emu's OST is terrifying. No, I have meant to watch that, because I did kind of want to just hear what Emu's OST is. It sounds like it'll be something cool, from what people are saying. Pluto Koi is asking Morj, what are your thoughts on the One Piece remaster? I'm very happy that it's happening. It's finally something that I can actually recommend people to try. That's not the One Piece anime. You know, because it's gonna be something that people can actually like digestible. You know what I mean? I assume. Actually, it'd be really funny if they're just trying to milk the whole thing again. So this new One Piece anime just turns out to be like another 1100 episodes or something like that. They just do the same thing pretty much. Maybe like fix the pacing like 5%, fix the like the quality of animation like 5% for certain parts, but for the most part they're just like, all right, let's just milk this cow again. Joy Girl saying Morj ranking ranking Disney shows is not what I was expecting when I entered the chat. I don't know. Do you agree with the ranking? Kim Possible for the win, BTW? Okay, if we're counting animated shows, then there was... Okay, Kim Possible was a good animated show for sure. What else did Disney have? I feel like Disney mostly had... Everything Disney was kind of... I don't know. Like, I don't think it was as good as, like, Nickelodeon stuff. That's what I mostly remember. Then Cartoon Network was its own, like, more weird vibe stuff, but cool in its own way, like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and stuff. Let's see, like, old school Disney Channel TV shows animated. What was American Dragon? I like that one. Where was that? American Dragon, Jake Long. That was Disney, right? Yeah, I like that, but I don't think that was good. I would agree that Kim Possible was better. I don't think that Disney had... Wait, is Phineas and Ferb Disney? There's no way. Phineas and Ferb was Disney. Oh, man. Phineas and Ferb was good. Phineas and Ferb was legitimately funny. Like, legitimately funny. I missed Cigar Verk's super chat? Oh, shit. Hold on. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 10. I think Emu is Dragon. No, we covered this. I discussed this one. I definitely discussed this one. Yeah, I talked about this one at length. Don't worry about that. But thank you. Muhammad D. Luffy, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 13 months. Hi, Morj. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 13 months, man. Chowder's Cartoon Network. I fucking loved Chowder. And I feel like Chowder, for some reason, didn't get the popularity that I felt it deserved. I was probably too old to be watching Chowder, but I still tuned in to watch Chowder for some... I don't know. It was still, like, on. And you had cable, so you just tune in once in a while to see that stuff, right? I remember Schnitzel. It just had a phenomenal... Like, I think Chowder himself wasn't that funny to me. But all of the adult characters and their interactions were hilarious. Like, Schnitzel, which was like the classic worker who doesn't like his job, but is like clocking in because he's got to do it, and he's made to do a bunch of stupid shit. Mung Dal. Endive. Gazpacho was fucking great. You guys don't know who I'm talking about here. These are phenomenal. These are all-time great characters. All-time great characters. Cigarverk says, no, you didn't? Yes, I did. What are you talking about? I talked about... Wait, you said, I think Emu is Dragon Luffy victim. Blackbeard is stealing Emu's power. And Luffy versus Blackbeard 1v1. Emu seems to be team victim. Separate topic, why everyone thinks Zoro versus Lucci has been going for days. It's been a few minutes. I covered this whole thing. We talked about this. What I said specifically was I could see Blackbeard being the final villain. I said that Zoro versus Lucci, it's been... People saying it's been going on for a few days. Has been acting like it's going on for a few days just because... Zoro fans acted beforehand like Zoro would completely wash Lucci. I went through this whole chat. What is there a separate one that I'm missing here? I've discussed this whole thing. I swear to God. Can people in chat confirm? If I haven't, I'll go through it again. But I feel like I went through that whole comment, and both aspects of it. But if I haven't, I'll go through it again real quick. It's the Fates elephant. Chowder's fucking awesome. Dexter's Lab. So once you get to Dexter's Lab and stuff, you're going back a generation, right? And it's definitely great for its time. I think that shows you know, the whole pacing and vibe of those shows was just different. Like, I don't know what Cartoon Network is like now. I know that if you compare something like Chowder to Dexter's Lab, Dexter's Lab is like a lot more quiet and like muted, if that makes sense, and just its tone, its atmosphere. Like, you will have slower gags play out. You will just have longer bits of silence. Chowder, it's like wacky, zany, like jokes have to be flying all the time. Silly stuff has to be happening all the time. Gunner says you did his but not mine yet. Wait, let me. What is going on? Is it not? My super's not loading properly? Gunner. Now I'm confused. Hold on. I need some actual confirmations here because I kind of need to know whether my super chat thing is like whether the thing I'm looking at is accurate or not. Otherwise, I'm worried that I'm missing other people's stuff, and I don't want to be missing other people's stuff. Cigar, can you confirm that the last thing you mentioned was Emu being a Dragon Luffy victim, the Zoro Lucci comment? In the meantime, Pat Galley says, okay, thanks for the 5, by the way. What's up, Morj? Oh, shit. Fuck, marry, kill, Nami, Robin, Boa. This is a good question. Also, Codename Kids Next Door is best Cartoon Network show. Fuck, marry, kill, Nami, Robin, Boa. This might be controversial, but I would probably kill Boa because she's generally, like, a bad person. Fuck Nami, marry Robin. Damon says, Mihawk greater than Roger and Prime Whitebeard. Okay, I did cover. All right, thank you. People who say marry Boa are fucking insane. One, she would turn you to stone, and that would be it. That's your married life. It's over. You know that she's only got eyes for one man, and we already know who that is, right? It's not happening. Like, there's men that she tolerates, like really, but Boa will kill you, right? Or at least petrify you permanently. Yeah. Silverbum says, bow down sub, ain't no way you killing Boa. Boa's legitimately a bad person. If you take aside her love for Luffy and just look at everything else her character did, she's just a shitty character. Like, the only reason she does such good things for Luffy is because she's fallen in love with him, right? That's it. Like, literally look at the ultimatum that she gave him, which was, like, they were gonna fucking kill Marguerite and all those Amazons. They were gonna murder them. Like, there was a moment, the only reason it didn't happen was because Luffy unleashed Conqueror's Haki at the right moment. But the Boa sisters were literally about to break her statue to pieces. They're fucking psychopaths. King G, thanks a lot. Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack is a sleeper. So that stuff was after my time. I can't speak on it for or against. It was just after my time. Gunner455 says, Morj, still haven't done mine. After that, you're all caught up with King G. All right, let me check. I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. Kicking dogs. Yeah, kicking dogs, kicking, like, little kittens and stuff like that. She's actually one of the worser characters. Like, one of the... I don't think even Doflamingo is going around just kicking dogs and cats for no reason. I don't think that's happening. Where's Gunner? Let me see. Gunner, were you a super or were you a member chat? You can just ask right here. I'm able to read your chat. Gunner, just say it again. Cigar saying no, she's not. She was a slave earlier. She hates men, and you just need more hockey to bypass her, you're weak, Morj. Okay, but what does that have to do with the kicking dogs and cats and like killing Marguerite and all of them for no, just because she felt like it? Eric says Boa's putting on a front. What is bro cooking? She's not, dude. When she kicks dogs and cats, it's not like she's pretending to kick dogs and cats. She's actually doing that. When she was about to kill Marguerite, that wasn't a test. They were about to do that. They had no way of knowing that Luffy's gonna unleash Conqueror's Haki right then. What the fuck are you talking about? They deserved it. True, they didn't appreciate her beauty. I think Boa simps are basically like, I don't even know what to say. Some of the like I think if you're just a big Boa fan, I do feel like that reflects something about you in real life, in that like literally the stuff that Boa says, which is like, I'll be forgiven because I'm beautiful. I think that like, no matter how shitty I am, I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Because all you have to do is look at like some of the people in the One Piece fandom who are legitimately like, yeah, Boa, yes, Boa, fucking awesome character. It's like, holy shit. All you need is like a really is the sexy design, act like the perfect waifu for the main character, and then you basically get forgiven for all the shitty ass shit that you do. Eric, I think you need to reread Amazon Lily. I think you've forgotten all of her actions throughout Amazon Lily. If you subtract everything that was Luffy obsessed, she's a giant piece of shit. If you want to say, oh, it's because she was a slave, well, that explains why she got fucked up in the head the way that she is. But just because you get fucked up in the head doesn't mean that you can't, like, doesn't excuse. I mean, you could say that's an excuse for you being a bad person, but it doesn't change the fact that you turned into a bad person. You just have a cause for what planted that avenue of development in your growth cycle, right? Exactly, she's forgiven. Eric, I would love to see you put together an argument for her kicking dogs and cats. Go for it. Eric's just like, you don't understand her, bro. You don't understand her like I do. She's so beautiful, she can't be bad. And do you know that she loves Luffy? Silver Bum, yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's bad though, so always forgiven, you lork. Yeah, that's just the One Piece weeb fandom mentality. It's just hardcore simp, just hardcore simping for her. It's basically just the the general Boa fan base. Basandra says Eric's going insane. The whole point is that it was a front so her people don't get invaded. You're right. She was. I don't think you. Eric, all right, okay. I think you literally don't remember 95% of her actions through Amazon Lily. There was no front. Momonga and them were not there. They were not watching the majority of what she was doing. Wisdom Minari, thanks for being a member for 9 months. Want a video when? It's coming. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about it. It's coming. GDN, thanks for the 5. Do you think Saturn's regen is a part of his fruit power or the immortality surgery and something all Gorosei will have? Do you think Saturn's regen is a part of his fruit shoot, is it part of the immortality surgery? I was kind of just thinking that it's part of his fruit, but the immortality surgery is a great yeah, I think that's a great point. I was just thinking it's part of the fruit, but it makes more sense to be part of the immortality surgery because it's just Oda's way of flexing, I suppose, what the immortality surgery does for you, which is no matter what happens, you're just back to normal. I think I like that idea quite a bit. Oh, let's get the likes up to 300 real quick. Holy shit. Boa is the sole dictator of a powerful warrior people. Maintaining her image of strength is a political necessity. Goddamn, people. Holy shit. The lengths that people will go to defend this character is actually insane. I miss Gunner again. What's Gunner saying? Let's see. Wait, I missed you again. Hold on. Gunner says, would you want the One Piece remake to have the current manga art style off the bat, or have early manga designs at first, then art evolves over time? W content Morj. Oh, that's a great question. I think it should evolve in the same way that the actual manga evolved, in my opinion. I think that that's a good trajectory. I feel like I feel like if it starts with the current style, like no matter what, even if it's like anime tend to change their style season to season, right? They do the style does change subtly season to season, some more drastic than others. I do think it just fits the tone of One Piece kind of to evolve as the series evolves, because the earlier art style did speak to a more kind of simplistic world and just simplistic world and story, if that makes sense. I think mirroring kind of the same progression in the story, I feel like it just feels more fitting to me personally. But like whatever they do, it's probably going to be a step up from what like actually like whatever they do, it's going to be a step up from like what actually, how do I say this? I don't want to insult the, like, I still view the original anime as like the actual anime, but like I feel like the charm of if they can recapture the charm of the original anime, that's great. But I do expect the new anime art style to basically, I just feel like it should be a step up no matter what from the way that they did it originally, right? Yeah. Marcel Beans, thanks for the 2. What do you think happens next chapter? XOXO. What do I think happens next chapter? I would love to see what happened to Luffy. That's the main thing. I feel like there's too many routes that things could go, because fights are getting shuffled around real quick, so it seems like we get to see a bit of Sanji and Frankie versus Kizaru, but Oda could easily flip that on his head very quickly and be like, you know what? Sanji's fighting Lucci now and Zoro's fighting Kizaru or something like that. Just because things are moving pretty quick. I hope we get an explanation on what's going on with Kuma soon, just because I'm a little bit anxious about where Oda's going with all this, right? Again, if Kuma gets his consciousness back temporarily, cool. If this is setting up for Kuma just surviving, period, that would be terrible. Right? So I'm a little anxious about that whole plot thread, but I still have faith that it'll be good. Yeah, what happened to Luffy? I feel like that could be answered next chapter, because I feel like it'd be a weird question to leave hanging for like 2-3 chapters. So if not next chapter, then maybe the chapter after that. Yeah. Manny, thanks for the 5. Morj, if you could change one major flaw of One Piece, what would you pick? For me, it's either fake-out deaths or arc fluff. Yeah, I think fake-out deaths are a really big one. Again, I've always said this, which is that I don't need characters to die in One Piece. That's fine if Oda doesn't want to do that. The cardinal sin that shows up frequently in One Piece is Oda writing death scenes and drawing all of this dramatic, tear-jerking emotion out of them, and then basically cheating by reversing them later on, right? It's even fine to do like death fakeouts. Death fakeouts, I've always said, are different than death scenes, and I tried to make that clear in my video talking about Saul. Death fakeouts are just like, classic death fakeout is like Aragorn goes off the cliff partway through the Two Towers, okay? Goes off the cliff, but it's not like it's ever played up. Like, it's a moment of like, oh, wait, did it really happen for the audience? And they let it play out for a little bit, like that sort of question mark. And then eventually it's revealed that he's still alive. But they never do a whole dramatic sort of like, everybody's mourning, everybody's in tears. They're doing like some dramatic flashbacks or stuff for Aragorn. They're like, they're not trying to squeeze any sort of deep death scene juice out of that scene, right? That doesn't happen. The opposite would be something like Pell, where Pell, Oda dedicates a whole chapter to just like squeezing all this sad death, like dramatic death juice out of it. Like, Pell's really going out. This is the end. This is this climactic permanent sacrifice. Like, here's all these flashbacks of Pell and Vivi and like all of these powerful final words and all of this stuff, right? That's a dramatic death scene. Once you write that, you can't undo that. You can't erase that. That is essentially just that's not real writing. That's basically cheating. That's just it's the cheapest form of writing imaginable. And it's such a shame because Oda's so good at producing really, really powerful tearjerker scenes because he's so good. Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, even random characters like Pound, I felt very emotional reading Pound's death scene. He's like, Oda's got a knack for just being able to pull readers' heartstrings like on a dime, and he's maybe my favorite author, I'll say, at the very least, at doing that sort of thing. So that's why it's just so frustrating that what I view as arguably his greatest strength, he kind of just shits on it himself with, in my opinion, one of his greatest weaknesses, which is just like, he himself can't bring himself to actually go through with the beautiful scenes that he crafts. It's just so confusing to me, but I understand it at the same time. It's just like I wonder if even he, like, sitting in his office writing is like, oh my god, this death scene is so beautiful, it's making me cry so much, I feel so sad reading it. You know what? No, never mind. Like like a week later, he's just thinking on it. He's like, I'm still so bummed out about killing Pound. I feel so fucking sad over it. Fuck it. I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it's just like a whim thing. Like, he writes this whole sad thing for Pell. He's sitting at the end of the Alabasta arc. He's like, that was a really good arc. He's like, oh, but I'm still so sad I had to kill my guy Pell. I can't do it. I'm bringing him back. Right? Like, I wonder how often it happens for him that he actually has a death plan to be permanent. And then he's just, at a certain point, he's like, he just feels sad one day and he's just like, fuck it. You know what? It's been enough time. I'm just going to bring this guy back. I don't know. It's bizarre. But like, when it's so easy for you, right? Because you're the author, so you just get to decide whatever. When it's so easy, I feel like it might be hard to resist the temptation. Because Oda definitely he said something in an interview once, which was interesting, which was like, anytime he has a character cry in the story, that means that Oda himself cried while drawing it. I don't know if that's 100% true and he does that every time, but that's interesting because that means that he does get really, really emotional just drawing many, many parts of the story. So, like, it could be one of those things where it's like, he's just so deeply attached to characters that he can confidently kill them, and then it just lingers for so long, and he's just so sad about it for so long that eventually he just undoes it. So, I don't know. You never know. The Disciple, thanks for... Oh, that's a funny name. The Disciple, thanks for the 2. Would the Yonko exist if the Gorosei weren't lazy? That's actually a really, really good question, because that's something that, I want to see a little bit more of what Saturn can do, because, you know, if it turns out that Saturn at the end of the day isn't as strong as many of us feel that he is right now, then that changes the question. But that's a topic that has actually come up before in questions from people. And it's something that I want to do a full-on video on, because the Gorosei being so strong and the existence of the God's Knights and such, it does put a new perspective on the balance of the world powers and what it actually was this entire time. And it really does change our perspective in just looking back through the story and seeing, like, what could have been, what we didn't know, the way things were actually set up behind the scenes that we didn't fully understand. So the question that you're getting at there is actually getting at a bigger question, which is basically like, what was the true balance of power in the world, right? If Imu existed, if the Gorosei existed, etc. So that's actually a video topic that I've been saving for a little bit. I'm gonna wait to see exactly what Saturn can do, because if Saturn turns out again to be, if the Gorosei just turn out randomly to not be as strong as were kind of initially presented when Saturn first did his Devil Fruit transformation, then that changes the story. But yeah, just gonna let Saturn do his thing for a bit. Crow Stray God, thanks for the 5. Evening Morj, do you think that Luffy's crew is more like Rogers or Shanks's? Oh, that's a cool question. Is it more like Rogers or Shanks's? Shit, that is a good question. So Rogers' crew, I think, was a bit more diverse because it had like a fishman in there. it had like a fishman, it had like cabin boys, like you just a bit more eclectic group of individuals, you know what I mean? Whereas Shanks' crew seems to be all like just middle-aged men, basically all, I don't know, just a bunch of middle-aged men. But that's not the question, right? It's like, what was more so the vibe? I also think like Roger, like they picked up Odin for a little bit. I think there just might have been a bit more of a eclectic, like an eclectic mix of characters that Roger would have coming in and out of his crew, I think. At the same time, whose crew is more like whose? I feel like maybe Luffy's crew is a bit more like... I really think the Straw Hats are more their own thing at the end of the day, because... yeah, it seems like the Straw Hats are more so their own thing. I think that... like the Straw Hats out... like, because there's two modes to the Straw Hats. There's like family mode when they're just sailing around. And in that mode, Luffy's basically like treated like this dumb little kid of the crew. And then there's kind of serious mode where it's time to get shit together, and that's when they act like a real pirate crew. So I'm trying to think like which Straw Hat, like which crew, Rogers or Shanks's, felt more casual. I feel like the way Roger was kind of like I feel like there were panels of like Roger like squabbling with his other crewmates and stuff too, right? Like I don't think we really see that with Shanks and his crew. I feel like there's a bit more of a standard of respect and hierarchy there. And even just like the fact that Shanks's crew, you know, they've got subordinate crews and such. Luffy does too technically, but he doesn't even interact with them, right? He shoves them off to the side. So I think that Luffy's crew is a bit more like Roger's crew, where it feels like a bit more chaotic, a bit more free flow, a bit more focused on adventure. I do think that Shanks, just because he himself is a more composed, mature character, I think that trickles down a little bit to the vibe of his crew. But that's an interesting question. I didn't think about that ever. Eyes96, thanks for the 5. Morj, who do you think will make a return for the Battle of Raftel? I would like to think Enel would just add to chaos and urgency to the war. Who do I think will make a return for the Battle of Raftel? I would like to think Enel would just add to chaos and urgency to the war. Enel's just, it's like a question of like how relevant he can even still be with his level of power. I think if Enel shows back up, he's getting fruit farmed by the Blackbeard pirates, in my opinion. I don't know, like, how... I think Battle of Raftel, I don't know how many. I think Battle for the World, I think we could see characters from, like, Alabasta and, like, previous kingdoms, like Drum Kingdom and such, make a return. Eric is saying, found the panels where she's crying, saying she doesn't want to let anyone in because of her past, so yes, it's a front. She hacks hard again, so no one can ever take advantage again. Eric, I don't think you understand. No one is arguing that Boa Hancock does not have trauma, and that trauma has shaped who she is. It just turns out that shaped her into a shitty person. You don't get to go around kicking dogs and cats, or like nearly murdering people like Marguerite and like all of her friends on a whim just to flex, and then be like, well, it's because of my traumatic past. Most people who are bad people tend to have had something bad happen to them in the past, right? That doesn't excuse your action. You take people's actions by what the actions are, right? Not necessarily, oh, did this person through some trauma in their past like shape them to be such a shitty person, right? You're talking about two separate things. Everybody understands that Boa Hancock went through shit. It just shaped her into a shitty person who then, like, it's one of those hurt people, right? It's a classic saying. It doesn't excuse the toxic type of person that you end up becoming, right? You're mixing up two different things. Everybody already knows that, yeah, we all remember Boa Hancock has a sad backstory. We all understand that Boa Hancock, like, she does really, really bad things because she's, like, a really scared, vulnerable person on the inside. It doesn't change the fact that she's doing really, really shitty things, right? At the end of the day, you know what? We're probably going to find out that Akainu had a sad backstory. We're going to find out most likely that Blackbeard had a sad backstory. That's not going to excuse, like, like any of the actions that they've taken throughout the actual adulthood of their lives. You're mixing up two different things. I really don't know what to say, dude. Like, if you look at all four actions objectively, outside of the lens that she goes to for Luffy, which is ultimately just for personal reasons, not out of moral reasons, personal reasons being that she loves Luffy and is obsessed with Luffy to a stalker-like degree, right? So even that is questionable. But if you take all of that away, then she's just a shitty person, dude. John678, thanks for the 2. I'm praying for Usopp's death to be a fake out. No, if Oda's going to do a death scene for Usopp, he's got to follow through on it. He's just got to follow through. Breezy2x says, can you fight yet? No, but you know, fun fact, I started doing cardio. And I thought I'd hate doing cardio. I'm doing cardio to warm up, you know? Like, slowly get into, like, how do I say? General, like, because I've only done gym stuff in the past, and I haven't really, like, for the past year or so, past year or two. So I'm out of cardio shape, so I want to get into cardio shape a little bit first, and then get back into, like, I do want to do boxing, but let me give it a couple weeks. Like, let me actually be able to, you know, run a couple miles and such. But I'm getting there. Eric says she literally calls it pretense. Dude, you don't understand, but she's still literally doing the actions. If she's still literally doing the actions, then just because she considers it to be a pretense, she still kicked that dog, right? The moment you've kicked a dog, it doesn't matter what it's like. Oh, I'm just kicking the dog to play a part so people think I'm like cool and badass. It's like, you still kick the dog. You are officially a shitty person. You are a piece of shit now, right? Like if Boa Hancock rolled up and kicked Chocho, it's just like, it's all cool, dude. It's just a pretense. Fuck Chocho. It's all to go to Boa Hancock's hard-ass demeanor. Like think for a second. Like if someone showed up, Eric, like just put it in your context. If someone showed up and like kicked you in the face, and it's like just kicked you in the face for no reason, right? And then they explain to you like, nah, bro, it's because I got a traumatic past. I've got a traumatic past, and I just need people to think I'm like really hard and badass. So this is just a pretense. Like, so the pain that you're feeling right now that I just inflicted upon you, it doesn't mean anything. What the fuck would you say to that dude? Like, what are you talking about? Dave, thanks for the 2. Sanji equals living symbol of power, of love greater than science. But most of his power is through science. That would work if he didn't have the Gervine headsmiths, but he does, which I think is a little weird, but, you know, we're rolling with what we've got now. The dog was a paid actor. Eric says, if they were doing it to protect their people, then I get it. You know how much of a stretch you've got to get to go from the line that she's doing it as a pretense, which is her, like, what she's trying to project, to then, well, this is for the sake of my people. If you can find me a panel that proves that every evil action that Boa Hancock has done, including nearly murdering Marguerite and a bunch of innocent Amazons, if you can find a panel that proves that Boa Hancock went through the process of like, I need to do this for the greater good of Amazon Lily and not for herself, you need to first prove that she's doing it exclusively for the good of Amazon Lily and not just to project a certain aura herself. If you can do that, then we've got a discussion. It doesn't mean she's a good character because it doesn't justify necessarily that her thought process is correct. It doesn't necessarily justify that her utilitarian method of thinking of like, I need to kill these 5 people and that way that will make sure that Amazon Lily is safe. It doesn't justify that that is correct. It opens the door a crack to a discussion of her maybe not being a shitty person. But unfortunately, you cannot find that panel because it does not exist. Eric says the Nami's a bad person for stealing for her people, except that Nami steals from pirates. That's her whole deal, dude. Go reread the story. She steals from pirates. That's her whole shtick. And when she's like, that's an actual discussion when it's like, would you steal? Like, even if it's from a normal citizen, stealing to essentially basically having to save the lives of others, then you're weighing 2 things that are basically understandable, one good for something greater, right? If you're talking about, I need to kill 5 people just so that people think that I'm a badass, that's a totally different discussion, right? And if it was any other character, you would not be making that argument. But Eric, Boa Hancock, she's got the simps. She's got the simps, dude. She's got the... I understand where you're coming from, and I understand why you think that. I do think it is sad, but it's just, you know, it is the way it is. Yeah, Boa sexy is also. Yep, like that's the mentality. If every Boa fan could just be honest, I would not mind the love for her character. Like I don't have any strong feelings about Boa. I just think it's funny that like literally like the irony is that the thing that she proclaims in the story, which is supposed to be a gag, like I'm beautiful, therefore I'll be forgiven. It's actually true because people only bend over backwards to try and defend her psychopathic actions because she is canonically the hottest character in the story, and she presents herself again as the perfect waifu to the main character. Now Eric's saying I don't even like Boa as he like backpedals as fast as he can to escape the allegations of the real reason that he's defending her so hard. Eric says, you think she's doing it all because I want to look cool? Hey, Eric, if you can present some panels that basically explain her thought process of, I do these actions that are insanely shitty, specifically because it will give me this persona that all people in Amazon Lily will see, and then that will thereby make sure that everyone in Amazon Lily is safe and survives. If you can present me that like line of thinking, I would love to see that, but it doesn't exist except in, I guess, Boa fans headcanon or something like that. Eric says, get me on a call, bruh. No, dude. What? Do you know how stupid this argument is? Do you know how shitty your line of thinking is? I don't really know what to say at this point. LMFO, I'm so bad. I'm so fucking bad. Eric, post the page to the panel that you're talking about. Shyman M says, Morj, people defend shitty characters because of sad backstory. I blame Naruto for this BS. I don't think, no, I mean, like, yeah, that does happen quite frequently in Naruto. Charlotte Kodakuri says, yo, whoever got Morj riled up on Boa Hancock getting cooked right now, homie has statements with no arguments to substantiate them. Morj, keep cooking. I mean, there's not much more to talk about. If Eric's got some hidden panel that like was kept in Oda's sketchbooks or something like that that he could post, that'd be phenomenal. All right, guys. I'm trying to find something that's like a new argument, but I'm mostly seeing Eric being unruly. All right, Eric, you got 2 minutes to post a new argument, otherwise we're calling stream here. Go over Miss Supers? Dude, there are no Miss Supers, dude. We're done. We're done. Wait, Charlotte... No, we covered this. Manifest Joe, thanks for the 5. Thoughts on Buccaneer true strength per Vegapunk? Maybe related to why Blackbeard's able to use 2 fruits. Unrelated, but also watch Blackberry. I don't know what Blackberry is. Thoughts on Buccaneer true strength per Vegapunk? Buccaneer true strength per Vegapunk. Buccaneer true strength per Vegapunk? Oh, I talked about this a little bit earlier. So I do think that it might be something, because like I thought like, okay, maybe this also explains how Blackbeard was able to have two fruits. So maybe it's something like special to do with their bodies that allows them to have multiple personas or something, because that would explain how Blackbeard was able to have 2 fruits, and it would also explain how Kuma is able to like split his consciousness in a way or something. Or have multiple whatevers. Keanu Reeves says distorted future lore-ish Morj. You know what's fucked up? So I found out just like, I might have mentioned this to you guys recently, but I found out recently that the LSAT expires. It actually expires. So it expires after 5 years. It's been, I think, 6 years now since I took the LSAT, which means that if I wanted to be a lawyer now, I would have to take it again. And I'm like, fuck, like, I don't ever want to have to study for a test again, personally. Like, obviously, you would have to study for the bar, but just the thought of, like, because for the LSAT, I had to go through, like, a full practice book to, like, get in shape for it, basically. Like, you can't just walk into the LSAT and do your best. You need to practice, like, a little bit to kind of understand how the test works. I've mostly forgotten how the test works. I haven't done like a logic game in so long. So now I'm kind of like, okay, so basically, career-wise, things can never get so bad for me that I have to pivot to being a lawyer, because now I officially can't be a lawyer. The LSAT has expired for me. All right, take one more question, and then we'll probably call it. I missed Wisdom and Aries? No, Wisdom's was... I caught Wisdom's. John678, thanks for the 2. You're wrong. Boa shtick is supposed to be a gag. Was killing Marguerite a gag? Because they were about to do that. It was happening. Like, that was a dramatic moment. That was probably the dramatic high point of Amazon Lily. Eric says, you got me, man. GG, I got so heated. Hey, Eric, I gotta apologize for not being able to make the stream last Saturday. I hope it was a good stream. I'm sorry, man. I had real life shit come up, but it's just the way it is. I couldn't even play Tears of the Kingdom this weekend, and I really wanted to. So, I'm sorry about that. But yeah. Alright, guys. We are gonna... Oh, for those of you who don't know, Eric hosted a stream with many YouTubers last Saturday, I believe. YouTubers, some of your favorites, such as Evil Morj, Brago the Ace, King of Lightning, JD Legend, others. I don't remember. Rogers Base, I believe, was there. I didn't fully tune in to watch, but there were a lot of really good names. Go check that out. I was supposed to be there, but unfortunately I could not make that. All right, guys. I'm very hungry. It is 9:37 where I'm at. I'm going to go eat some food. And, yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.